men. Sadly, we cannot choose how, but we can decide how we meet that end in order that we are remembered as men.
When the Jews return to Zion and a comet fills the sky, the Holy Roman Empire rises, and you and I must die. From the eternal sea he rises, creating armies on either shore, turning man against his brother, until man exists no more. The book of Revelations predicted the end of days. What's going on, fellas? I am the one and only Dark Loner, aka Whispered, and I want to kind of have a sort of disclaimer before I go into the meat of my video. I know I've been putting out a lot of stuff regarding men going their own way, and I support that 100,000%. Don't get me wrong, but in my heart of heart, what I really am is a loner. I'm gonna do kind of a new series called the Loner Diaries, and this is kind of gonna let you into my world and understand the life of a loner, but through the journey of a loner. And loners, more than anybody, are dear to my heart. Men that have gone through the test of time, gone through situations that most people could not handle by themselves, to me, have the highest level, N7, if anybody that plays Mass Effect, level of respect from me. Before I was a man going his own way, even before I didn't even know how to term that, I was a loner. This goes back to who I am. That's why I am the Dark Loner. I'm not the Dark Loner. Is not made up. I am. That's exactly what I am. I'm gonna read you a passage from my personal diary, what I call the Loner Diaries. Check this out. This is written back April 9th, 2004. This is my diary. This is my life. When I'm dead, bury me with this. Here are the life and times of a true loner that is dead as I speak. I do not fear life too much anymore because there is an end. I am becoming less human every day. Every hour, every second I spend alone in the dark gallows of this worthless society, I know the end is near. Dear God, have mercy on this unwanted soul, for my value is almost zero. My eyes go hollow to avoid the persistent temptation of a fictional world. For what I believe to exist will exist. I bury my head in the altered reality, for there I am immortal. To humans, I am worthless, a speck in the wind. However, in my world, the insignificant is the significant. The irrelevant becomes relevant. Hope is a human emotion. I seek to be void of all feeling and emotion. I am the last of the loners. We live how we are. One thing, and I'm a 80s child. No, I was born in the 70s. But one thing, growing up and watching a lot of movies in the 80s, I think my ideal man was a loner. I go back to a movie, one of my favorite movies, Cobra, from Stallone was in this movie called Cobra, and I know most of you guys, and I'm gonna do another video on that, called The Death of Action Movies. Men had a certain level of respect. If you notice Stallone's early movies, he was always alone. Cobra. Even though in a movie like, what do you call it? I'm losing my blank here. Well, if you look at movies like with Schwarzenegger, he was always by himself. You remember Commando? He didn't have a wife. He just had Alyssa Milano, who ironically became a whore in real life. There was a certain level of masculinity that I was like, man, okay, this is what men are supposed to be. You know, one of the coolest scenes is when Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger slap hands. And you see these big muscles pop up in Predator. I'm like, that's cool. So my view of a man was an individual that was able to stand regardless of what happened in his life. I don't care if you chopped off both his arms. I don't care if he had no friends in the world. This was a individual that could stand through whatever. And somehow men have transmogrified into individuals that can't live without sex, or are just these hyper masculine wannabe fake men type of characters. Loners are the last, what I call the last man. I'm actually working on a book called The Last Man, and it's about loners. Any guy that knows what I'm talking, most guys, not all guys that are men going their own way are loners. But I heard a girl say this to me the other day. Why do you want to be alone? You know, because you as a woman don't understand. You have no concept. In your world, you breathe and a fucking guy comes out of nowhere like he's the archangel himself. The angel Michael, just out of nowhere. You're used to blowing and guys coming out of nowhere. But for us individuals, whether what type of loner they are, cool loner, dark loner, depressed loner, whatever you are, you have a level of masculinity that most guys can't and will never achieve. Part of my red pill comes from the fact that I am a loner. I've got hundreds of pages of my Loner Diary that I'm going to actually read to you guys eventually. I'm going to open up my world because I know there are guys out there like me, and there's some girls that are loners. Girls are they're very rarely loners. You know, I'll go to a mall, and most time I see a person walking by himself, it's a guy. I like that. There was a time that where men could stand on their own and walk by themselves and have no issue with it. This were the origins of men going their own way. If you really think about it, it's not just a bunch of ex-married men. You know, woman. I had tried to explain this to my mom. You know, I told her I'm a man going my own way. She couldn't understand that. Women will look at men going their own way as a bunch of disgruntled guys that had bad relationships are now whining because they're walking. I'm sorry. Wrong. No matter what comes our way, no matter what we go through, I walk the path of a warrior, true and true. One of my boys told me that years ago. Now I'll say it again. No matter what comes my way, no matter what I go through, I walk the path of a warrior, true and true. That is what's beautiful about being not only a loner, but a man. You were given the most precious gift to be, and I see guys squander it. And I'm actually going to do a special show tomorrow, and this is going to come straight from my heart. So, but guys who are loners, and the one animal I attribute, there's two animals I attribute with the loners, is a wolverine and a wolf. If you watch the lone wolf, I love watching videos on wolves. See how they walk. They can, if you ever see the pride, the look that a wolf has when he's by himself, there's nothing you can do. I'm immortal. To you, I may be weak, but to myself, I'm a king. He stands with a certain pride. I think men in general have lost that because you have so many men raised by single mothers. They don't know what that comes from. But guys my age, it's my responsibility and our responsibility to show these guys what it was like when we were growing up. I learned this from my father. When I was a kid, when I was 5 years old, if I'd bang my head, and my dad would tell me, shake it off. He would tell me not to cry. So at an early age, he trained me. If I dealt with pain, I don't cry. And even to this day, if I mess with, I've never cried when I've been seriously hurt in my life. That was conditioning. I'm glad my dad did that for me. But that was a man. Boys now, if their girlfriend breaks up with them, they kill themselves. Really? I've seen a video on YouTube of a guy crying and pleading on his knees. Please take me back. Please. A man, a so-called person that shares the same genetic elements and code that I do, whining to a female, take me back. It's one of the saddest things. Tears running down his face. Well, not what I do on this channel, and I guess this is my first kind of disclaimer, is not just for men going their own way, but I'm a what I call a true Renaissance man. I stick up for all kind of men. Guys that are involuntary celibate, that they think something's seriously wrong. I'll discuss a later video on that. Guys that are loners. Guys going their own way. Guys that are sick and tired of the shit that they've been put through, not only by women, but by the simp men that defend them. The guys that are so thirsty and hungry for this vagina. Guys that are blue collar. Guys that have no family. I'm you. I'll tell you a story another time. When I did sleep on the street with a homeless man. When I was in college. And I'm going to talk about, that's another video I'm going to talk about later on. The dark side of college. Anybody that has went to college, you'll feel me on this. But all these elements of man that we are, that we overlook each other by race, by color, by height. We're all the same, bro. We're all fighting the same war. Brad Pitt said it in Fight Club. We're a generation of men raised by women. I'm not sure a woman's the answer we really need. That's one of the deepest lines I've ever heard. I've analyzed that line since the movie came out, and I think that's the line most people miss. Listen to what he said. We're a generation of men raised by women. I'm not sure a woman's the answer we really need. You ever thought about that? I have a special love for guys that are loners, and I'm gonna do a lot of stuff. My channel is gonna be airy because there's plenty of men going their own way channels, and all power to those guys that do this. But I'm gonna come at you differently because I'm not just a man going his own way. I was a loner 20 years before I was a man going his own way. And I love to give a special shout out to these guys on lonersclub.com. They have Prometheus, Lightbringer, all those guys over there. Jeremiah, you guys keep doing your thing. But being able to stand alone as a man is one of the greatest things that you can ever do in this life. And I'm not saying every man should do this, because this is not the life for every man. But the ones that do this are really special to me. And I'm going to have more about what it's really like to be a loner. This is kind of more of a disclaimer. I have a special thing tomorrow or the day after that I'm going to do for everybody. So I am the Dark Loner. I will see you on the dark side. Rest in peace to the great George Sidini.